Hello besties, and welcome back to Platform, and also welcome back to Penguin Explorer, the video series where I take some mini deep dives into some cool literary, academic, and just overall bookish topics. Today's video is in partnership with Lit in Colour, which is a collaboration between the Runnymede Trust and also Penguin, which aims to make the teachings of English literature within UK schools more inclusive. I'll be using the key findings of their report in order to aid me in today's exploration as we look at why is academia so white? And so if I were to give a thesis statement, it would be that the curriculum within UK schools is still catered to white audiences, and so it alienates students of colour from their education. Now, whiteness within academia isn't necessarily a new topic. It's actually been something that's been debated for quite some time now. In recent years, we've had debates over the history curriculum and why there's been a distinct lack of focus on Black British history and why it shouldn't be omitted from the curriculum. There have been numerous articles published online on various news sites discussing this, but also pointing out the whiteness of the English literature curriculum as well. This could potentially stem from the roots of academia, as for a period of history, academia was only accessible to the affluent and the influential, which in those times mostly white middle to upper class men. As history progressed, we saw a lot of radical changes happening to the education system, but it allowed people from all backgrounds to be able to receive an education and also begin to have the tools necessary to diversify the workplaces and environments around them. However, can the same be said for the curriculum that is being taught today? For me personally, as a Black British person studying within the United Kingdom, I've definitely had my fair share of studying a white-centered curriculum. In English, we never really got to focus on stories by Black authors, and when we did get to discuss Black characters within white stories, they were mostly just discussing the racism that these characters experienced and never really much else about those characters themselves. And I found there were just so many facets about the characters that weren't being discussed. And it was really only until university that I began to study writing by authors of colour as a whole, and being able to interact with them on the multitudes of levels that I had been able to interact with white authors on. And speaking to a lot of my friends as well, they've encountered similar experiences to my own. And as students of colour studying a curriculum that centres whiteness, it's kind of hard to have your voice be heard. As a result, it's definitely a jarring experience, but decentering whiteness within the curriculum is something that I found out that I became deeply passionate about. By decentering whiteness and expanding the curriculum to include authors of colour, we are trying to make the curriculum more accessible and more welcoming to students of colour, to let themselves feel represented by the curriculum that they are trying to learn from. Which actually is a really good thing, because the current state of the English literature curriculum, it's kind of a mess. Lit in Colour, Diversity in Literature in English Schools details statistics concerning the diversity of the subject of English literature within secondary schools. I was able to get special early access to this report, and looking at the key findings of the report, they are shocking but also not surprising. Everyone in school studies English literature, and it's even a required subject at GCSE level. And as aforementioned, there have been campaigns to change the history curriculum, but should we do the same for English literature? The short answer: yes. The long answer, well, let's have a look at some of the statistics in the Lit in Colour report, shall we? In 2019's GCSE English Literature exams, fewer than 1% of candidates answered a question on a novel by an author of colour. To put this in a wider context, 34.4% of school students in England are not white British. Less than 1% of candidates answering with an author of colour, and there's over 34% of students of colour within the school system. It's really shocking and also a little bit disheartening, but it also shows the need to deepen and broaden the texts that are studied on the curriculum. We should look to give the students the tools and devices necessary in order to be able to answer these questions on authors of various identities. In a youth survey, 82% of respondents did not ever recall studying a text by an author of colour, which in conjunction with the 34.4% of students of colour, it goes to show how much they could have been potentially alienated from English literature as a subject, as they are not seeing themselves represented within the text that they study. But But a good thing that Lit in Colour also found is that poetry is in fact the most common way for secondary students to encounter an author of colour, which goes to show that maybe inserting singular poems is probably the easiest way to incorporate authors of colour within the school curriculum. But there may be those of you that are watching this video that may just think this is a bunch of adults just talking about what students should be studying within schools and asking, well, do young people actually care what they study about? Well, in the same exact youth survey, 70% of respondents, rising to 77% of people of colour in that survey, agreed that diversity is a part of British society and as such should be represented in the curriculum, showing that students do want some say in what they're learning and show that they believe the curriculum should be expanded to include more inclusive options. However, the report also finds that the greatest obstacles to teaching more diverse texts are time, money, subject knowledge, and teacher confidence. And the last part rings especially true, as only 12% of secondary teachers and 13% of primary teachers survey respondents had training on how to talk about race as part of their initial teacher training. This just goes to show that as we prepare to widen the curriculum and include authors of colour, we should also look to prepare teachers to discuss and teach these books so that they can be confident on how best to approach them for learning. At this point, it's pretty apparent that academia does need to become more inclusive as classrooms have become more diverse. And very strongly, I believe that this is not an issue, this is a human right. People deserve to be represented in what they're learning about, or at least have the option to. I think it's super important that when people go to study a variety of subjects, they can find themselves represented in a multitude of ways. And so overall, we've covered the basis of whiteness in academia and how it's still present in the modern day. We need to work on expanding and widening the curriculum so that it's more inclusive and more representative of students as a whole. We should hopefully want to see that 1% climb to like 34% so that it's in parallel with the 34.4% of students of colour within England. And so if there's anything I want you to take away today from today's Penguin Explorer, there are 5 things that you can do to help spread awareness of this. 1. You can share the Lit in Colour report and findings on social media and spread awareness of some of the key points, such as the 1% of GCSE students answering a question with a novel by an author of colour. Let people know that these resources exist and there is evidence to suggest that the curriculum needs to be widened and more inclusive. 2. Share your experiences and thoughts on the English curriculum on social media. Feel free to talk about your experiences as I have today. People need to acknowledge that there's been a long history of stories by authors of colour not being studied on the English curriculum, and by sharing our stories we can let them know that this is not just a one-time thing and that it's a repeat occurrence, and so hopefully we'll be able to change the system as a whole. 3. You can choose to start a conversation with your teachers and your librarians. By being informed about your exam board, the selected texts, using the Lit in Colour report, and also acknowledging the wider diversity of your student cohort, you can look to have an informed conversation with your teachers and librarians about widening the English curriculum and also including some books by authors of colour within your school library. And by doing this, hopefully you'll be able to have more texts that are representative of the students within your school. On the Lit in Colour website, you'll be able to find resources that will be able to help you have a more informed conversation with those teachers and librarians as well. 4. Read a novel by an author of colour this summer. On the Lit in Colour homepage, there's actually a summer reading guide that comes with a summer bingo sheet. I mean, I'm a massive fan of bingo, and so I might partake in the bingo game this summer as well, who knows? And you can even use their handy top tips to start a book club and have this challenge with a group of friends as well. And finally, 5. Sign up to the Lit in Colour newsletter. If you want to be kept up to date with the Lit in Colour news, find out more ways to get involved, and be the first to hear about the upcoming creative competition, you can be one of the first to sign up by using the link in the description down below. And so wraps the second installment of Penguin Explorer. I hope you found this quite motivating and also inspirational. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the platform channel so that you can see the next installment of Penguin Explorer. But also check out the multitude of videos that are being posted on platform. Recently, Tasman, Rowan and I participated in a book battle and it was a lot of fun. I mean, I was crowned the winner of the book battle, but if you want to go see us debating different LGBTQ+ tropes via PowerPoint presentations, why found families deserve rights? then you should definitely go check that out, and it was so much fun. If you want to go check out more of the resources linked to Lit in Colour, they'll also be linked in the description down below for you, so you can go browse and peruse and be informed on the current statistics about the English literature curriculum. Also in the description will be a link to the Black curriculum, who work to address the lack of Black British history within the British curriculum. If you'd like to see more of what I do, you can find me at Fictional Fates over on YouTube, where I recently did a Percy Jackson reading vlog as I'm going through the Riordanverse for the very first time, and so I'm very excited to be carrying on with the next series next month, and so you'll definitely want to go check those out. And so yeah, I guess until the next time, see you later, platform.